Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy AA on 2 for 20, and I'm bringing you guys my GBA D-League Season 4 Week 3 game versus Gregulator, coach of the Los Angeles Clefables. Now, if you guys missed my team builder video, you can check that out. It's uploaded yesterday. I uploaded it around 10 o'clock. I know I uploaded a lot yesterday, so you may need to go back a couple videos for it. But I did, of course, upload my team builder already. So chances are, if you wanted to see the team, you already saw it. If you didn't already want to see the team, then that's why you're here, and maybe 1% of you guys will go back and click it as of today, right before you watch the game. So, as I mentioned in the game, in the team builder, I think I mentioned it in there. If not, then I'm going to mention it now anyway. For one, for those who missed it, and two, in case if I didn't mention it. My lead this game, unless if he literally did not bring Coco and Mienshao, was going to be RaticateOhGosh. So, of course, he brings both Coco and Mienshao. Very, very expected. They, in tandem together, work very well against my team. He also brings both the Mega Scizor and the Heatran. I mentioned in my team builder, I thought there was a very real possibility both could come. However, I knew at the very bare minimum, Heatran was probably going to come. So, it kind of surprised me because in my mocks, I think I only saw Mega Scizor once, and it got pretty fucking annihilated. But, as I said, it was still a very likely bring, as it's probably his best way besides Musharna around Mega Kangaskhan. So it was still a very, very likely answer, in my opinion, in terms of a mon that could come. At the very least, in terms of handling my Mega Kangaskhan. Of course, Kang does get Fire Punch, and that could be very problematic. He also brings the Musharna. I was a little bit surprised by this, but not overly surprised to the point where it was like catching me off guard. I saw a lot of merit in Musharna, but it was sort of a 7th mon. If anything, I was more surprised that he didn't bring Scizor-Mega, but he brought Musharna. That was a little more surprising to me. Either Musharna or Sizz, I figured, would probably be benched for Scizor-Mega, as Scizor-Mega was a very, very nice way around Volcanion as a backup to Guja, and Guja, of course, did come as well. So, overall, a little bit surprised by the team, mainly just the fact that he didn't bring Scizor-Mega, as Scizor-Mega came, I think, to, like, every mock I did. I was more so surprised he brought both Musharna and Scizor, as those two were sort of the 7th mon, I guess. It was fairly interchangeable as a Mega Kangaskhan answer. So, yeah, as I mentioned, though, no matter what Greg leads, I'm going to lead off with my RaticateOhGosh, because I can either get rid of the Coco turn 1, hopefully, or B, I can get rid of the Mienshao turn 1, as I figured those are both his lead options. So, of course, I do lead off with RaticateOhGosh, as Greg does lead off the top of Coco, and I figured turn 1, I'm going to go for Head Smash. 1, because he has less switch-ins to it, or actually, he has more switch-ins to Head Smash, but main reason being is that I do more damage with Head Smash than Earthquake does. So I go for the Head Smash, of course, and Greg is going to live on like 1 HP. It was even more sad because we actually need to recreate this game, and I got this same exact damage roll. So it wasn't even like that I just happened to have him, it wasn't even just that I happened to get a low roll once. I got it twice. On the bright side, I didn't need to recreate because I ended up, let's say, potentially killed him the second time around. But it's sort of just salt in the wound that I had to relive that. At this point, though, I am in defeatist range, so I figured I'm not going to do a ton of damage necessarily to the rest of Greg's mons. So I am going to sack my RaticateOhGosh at this point. I did a lot more than I thought I was going to Mienshao, to be honest, with Head Smash, so I could have maybe saved it and went for Pluck later on. But overall, I didn't anticipate I was going to have much damage left off on that. So, I go here into Clef. I figured that he's probably going to U-turn into something else, or even just hard swap, depending on his item. He reveals here that he is not choiced, so I see that he goes for U-turn. And he goes into Coco. In hindsight, I probably should have Moonblasted, guaranteeing I can get rid of this thing, and you'll see why in a moment. But I get up my Stealth Rocks here instead. Figured I could try and stop Coco from coming in at all later on in the game. However, Coco does instead just decide to get U-turned in. My bad. And Greg is actually proving here to be a Z-move Tapu Koko. Now, this is very, very problematic for myself, as Z-move Tapu Koko was actually going to shred through my Clefable, as I'm not already set up with Calm Minds. And I'm not sure if he was Z Wild Charge or Z Thunderbolt, but point being is that he pretty much makes Clefable useless for the rest of the game, which is, this early on in the game, is very, very detrimental to my team overall. I should have probably just Moonblasted, because even if he brought in Scizor or Heatran, I could have gotten up rocks later on in the game. However, I got a little bit greedy in terms of getting rocks up, especially when he still isn't Mega Scizor, which is a very, very solid defogger. However, he actually decides to go into his Heatran here. I'm not overly sure why he went Heatran instead of Scizor, as Scizor could have potentially defogged as well on my Switch. So, overall though, I mean, I guess maybe he was predicting Babiri with Flamethrower. But I'm certain at that range he killed anyway. Also, it seems like Greg probably preferred getting up rocks, I guess. But again, Scizor would just help keep up momentum, and overall, I guess I get why he did it, but I was sort of expecting something else. He does decide he's going to hard swap here into Mienshao here. I thought that was a little bit weird of a play, as in my mind, I guarantee killed with Tailwind and Draco together. I ran a little hypothetical calc in terms of scouting this thing maybe being Assault Vested, because I saw that he wasn't choiced, and he did bring it in on Hydreigon. And I realized also his damage output, and I was like, wait, is Greg possibly Assault Vested? And it didn't hit me until later on, and I'll get into why in a little bit. But I do go for the Draco here. I'm doing a fair amount to Heatran, but nothing insane. I am, however, going to put this thing into Earth Power range for sure. And I decided here I'm going to click Earth Power. And I'm like, okay, you know, he could very well switch. He actually does switch into Mienshao. I thought he was just going to maybe sack. But I do go for the Earth Power here. Greg is just trying to stall at Tailwind turns here. And I realized with how little this did, I should have put this thing into yellow at this range if he was an Assault Vest. But I did realize that he is an Assault Vest in Mienshao, and this is the turn I confirmed it. The turn with Hydra, that is. So I decided here I'm going to sack my Clefable, actually. And he actually decides here that he is actually going to go into his Heatran. So I figured at this point, I really kind of have to recover. And if I can't recover on this thing, I could always recover on, I could have recovered on Musharna, to be fair. And that was sort of an oversight on my part, and I probably should have done that, as Clefable is still very important. So this was definitely a misplay in terms of me playing overall. But in hindsight, I guess I just got a little carried away, and I probably should have just hard swapped into Hydreigon, to be honest, because I could have very easily set up a Tailwind and then just clicked Earth Power versus something. However, I choke yet again, and I decided I'm going to click Draco here, predicting that he would maybe switch into Mienshao. There was no reason for him to keep Heatran around at this point, because he got rid of Clefable, and not only that, but he had Megasis back in the back anyway, even if he didn't get rid of Clefable, but he got his Rocks up as well. So it would have probably been better if I just went for Tailwind there, took whatever Flash Cannon he went for, and then just went for Earth Power. But I mean, it's fine, I guess. Well, actually, it's not fine, because now I'm very, very weak to very weak to this Mienshao, and not only that, but my switch-ins are getting even more limited. So I go into Ramon here. I am Colbur Berry, of course, and he is actually going to keep up the momentum himself with the U-turn. Very, very smart play by Greg. And he decides to go into Baby Eric. He has Goodra here, and that is going to chew any hit that I could possibly go for, because I'm not already set up with Spirit Shackle, which is the main issue in terms of hitting Goodra. So he actually goes for an Ice Beam here, which is a little bit scary, but it's not too bad. Luckily, we do live the hit, of course, and I'm able to go for a Roost. I figured I could always Roost on this thing enough to where I get into HP where I'm gaining HP versus this Goodra. As you can see, I did gain about 10 HP, so I could potentially put myself into range where I could live not only 2 Ice Beams, but also afford to get my Light Screen up. However, I got a little bit carried away and decided that I was just going to Light Screen now. That was definitely a choke, as I could have roosted up maybe 1 or 2 more times and then did the Light Screen and then still roosted up versus this thing and set up SDs. So that was, again, another really bad choke on my part, to be honest. But it's not the end of the world, as I'm able to sack off my Decidueye and then go into, at the very least, some other mon that can handle Goodra. Though, to be fair, I also kind of prepped this thing around Goodra, so it was a little bit of an oversight on my part just doing that. However, I'm able to bring in Hydreigon here, as I'm able to chew any Ice Beam this thing wants to possibly go for. He does, of course, withdraw, and he goes into Draco, which ends up being his Scizor. So, again, very easily could have played around. However, I just decided to go for Draco. I probably could have went for Flamethrower there, or even if I didn't go Flamethrower, which, to be fair, would have done really nice damage. I could have even just went for Earth Power, potentially gotten a special defense drop, and it probably would have done at least a little bit more damage, as I'm fairly certain it's neutral versus, it's neutral versus Mega Scizor, whereas Draco would be resisted, so I could have probably done more damage, to be honest, but I'm not overly sure on the calc. Anyway, though, he is going to go for Bullet Punch here, and that is definitely going to take us out at this point in the game, which is very unfortunate, as Hydreigon could have been a very, very valuable asset late game, especially if I got up a Tailwind. So here, I sort of need to bring in Mio or Mega Kangaskhan. I don't have a lot of options left in terms of clearing through his team, and while I could have went into Volcanion here, I still, if I brought in Volcanion, it baited in a free Goodra switch in, and Kang would have just taken unnecessary damage, and I felt like that overall, I sort of felt like that I just need to bring in Kang and just get off a heavy hit versus something. He still had too many things like a sponge hits to Volcanion at this point in the game, and I just needed to get off some damage versus him. So I went for the Wish here. I figured that if he was Superpower, I could just Wish Protect. If he goes into anything else, I can always just Wish and then Double Edge, which is what I end up doing. So I go for the Double Edge here, of course, and I'm going to get some nice damage off in this Musharna. Rocky Helmet, I sort of knew if Musharna was coming, it had to be Helmet. There was no other reason to bring it. So he does, of course, go for the Psychic here, and that is going to be doing a little bit of damage, a little more than I'd like, but in the end, I'm still going to get my Wish up, and I can always just Wish again, or I can even just kill this thing off with Double Edge. I decided I'm going to kill this thing off with Double Edge. Main reason being is I don't want it potentially Moonlighting, as if it Moonlights, then I need to take even more Rocky Helmet damage, and it's going to take even longer to kill this thing off, and I really just didn't want to go through that. So I do go for the Double Edge, of course. And Kang is now essentially sacked to Mienshao at this point, which does suck, because even if he brought in Mega Scizor, to be fair, I would have been sacking to that. But he does go for the Poison Jab here, however, and we do lose our Mega Kangaskhan, which is very, very unfortunate. Mienshao proving to put in even more work. And now I'm going to bring in Ocean Man. I figured that I sort of am just hoping that I can maybe get some kills. He does go for the knockoff here, which is going to reveal, one, that we're Shuckaberry, and two, it's going to reveal that I am not like a choice set or anything. So he is going to, of course, take some damage from Flame Charge. I'm going to go for the Seam Eruption now, as I figure that I can maybe get a kill, which luckily I do able to, I can't talk. Luckily I'm able to get the kill versus this thing. However, he is able to freely bring Goodra, which, as I said, Goodra just walls this thing to all hell and back. Had I brought Rest Talk with the original set Bird suggested with Rest Talk with Dual Stab, I could have maybe outstalled this thing, I guess. But overall, though, very good game to Bird. To Greg. My bad. I was thinking of Bird because the set still kind of haunts me. The Rest Talk set that I could have potentially brought. They could have actually potentially outstalled Goodra, especially if he was relying on Draco to hit me. I'm not sure if he had some other fourth move that could have hit me, but if Draco was really his best way to hit me, then Rest Talk could have potentially actually kind of won me that game, because his last mon that would have been left would have been the Mega Scizor. So yeah, Rest Talk could have potentially won me the game, sadly. So that is a little bit unfortunate, but obviously I'm forgetting what Greg's last move were on. I could double check real quickly, actually, just for the sake of my sanity. But I know Greg sent me his team, so I'm gonna actually pull it up real quick just for some, just so I know what his Goodra set was, because I'm sort of forgetting off the top of my head, and also so I don't sound like I'm really stupid if, let's say, he had like Rest Rain Dance or something. I could have sworn that he brought Hydration on his Goodra. I just can't remember if he was Rest Rain Dance. I could have sworn he at the very least had Rest, though. So, let me pull that up real quick. So, Greg's team, let's see. So, I just got to Greg. Here we go. Okay, so it's loading right now. Greg's team was, yep, he had Rest Rain Dance. Okay, so, yeah, I could have still potentially stalled him out, though, as he would have needed to rely on Draco crits. So, he didn't have anything like Earthquake to hit me off. So I could have potentially stalled him out, though it would have been extremely stally, and there's no guarantee I would have been able to beat him anyways. I was doing like jack shit for damage with my offensive moves anyway. But overall, though, very good game to Greg. Phenomenal battler. You guys should check him out. Hopefully he can make a comeback this season, as he is 1-2 now. I am also 1-2. We go into our game with Turbo, sadly, with a negative win record. However, I actually just finished my team with Turbo like a few seconds ago. I haven't battled him yet, but I just finished my team. I feel so confident in this team, guys. Cannot wait for you guys to see the team builder going up next Saturday versus Turbo. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like down below, of course, and I will see you guys in week 4. Hopefully we can pull up another win. Peace out, guys.